Chapter 21, Karis Thia. Dogan Ronda. We were back in Karis Thia, and this time, the Emperor's men were here. At least that's what we heard. So we had to be careful. I still have no idea how to find the dragon's egg, but the most important thing was to avoid running into the Emperor's men. I also heard that the Emperor was residing in the ruins of the Carisian palace where the king of Karis Thia used to live with the dragons. If we get captured here, there will be no rebels to rescue us. We're on our own, I said. I can make the three of us invisible, Kino said. If the tree runners came to our aid, that would serve us well, I said. I crouched and touched the ground, sending a signal to my brothers. After a while, I stood up. Let's go, I said. It was past lunchtime when I noticed someone following us, and when I came after it, I saw that it was Miroe. Brother, I said. It is good to see you again. You called? He asked in his usual throaty voice. The Emperor's men are scattered all around, and my companions are just children. Hey! Mayo and Kino objected in unison. I need someone who can fight with me in case there's a need for that, I continued, ignoring Mayo and Kino. Miroe looked uneasy, but after a while, he agreed. My brothers, they don't want us anymore. They said that since we walked away from the Emperor's summon, we can no longer rejoin them. So the three of us, we're just wanderers now. Then it's a good thing if you joined us. We can offer you protection too, I said. Miroe chuckled. Forgive me, brother, I thank you for that kind gesture. Nevertheless, I don't think that you can offer us any sort of protection. His eyes fell on Kino as he talked, and he exclaimed, Little brother. No, I said. I'm little brother. Or at least that's what your other brothers called me the first time I saw them. No, Miroe said. He's little brother. I saw him before, he's one of us. Kino grinned. Well, I can make myself seem like a tree runner. It's part of what my power can do, which copies another's power. Wonderful. Miroe exclaimed. Show me. Kino shrugged his shoulders and then turned into a tree runner. It was so odd. He looked as though he was covered with leathery skin all over his body. He had grown taller too. If we have nothing to use as firewood, we can probably use your leg, I said, laughing. And then, upon seeing that the other tree runners weren't amused, I added, Pardon me. And then I chuckled because I thought my joke was funny. Mayo was laughing. It wasn't just me who found it funny. It's time for lunch, Mayo said, looking up at the sky. The sun's perfectly above us. All right. Let's see what we got, I said. Kino was back to his own form when we started eating. There wasn't much to gobble on. What we have were just fruits again, as Mayo sorely pointed out. Little brother, this is a sad day because our brothers don't welcome us anymore, but we have a plan on how to fix that, Miroe said to Kino suddenly, which aroused my curiosity. Somehow, it seemed as though he trusted Kino more than I because he could turn into a tree runner. What's the plan? Kino asked. Miroe eyed him sharply. Are you just making conversation, or do you really want to know? I do because I know how it feels to not have any family, Kino replied innocently. Then after a while, his countenance changed as though he thought of something brilliant. Tell me your plans, he said. I was about to open my mouth and share it with him, but Miroe beat me to it. It's about the last dragon's egg. I'm going to tell our brothers that I have it. I will remind them of our heritage and that we were tasked to protect it. If we do that, perhaps they will renounce their allegiance to the Emperor and go back to Sinista with us. We are still banished, and we must not roam the land before we are released from it, or else, there will be chaos. And this is what's happening now. That's not going to work, I said, even though I wasn't supposed to be part of the conversation. And why not? Miroe asked. Because then you would be lying. And if you were found out, then it will break your brotherhood even more, I said. Miroe was silent for a while. And then he stared straight at me. I won't be lying. Tree runners don't know how to lie. It is a curse. Because the first tree runner lied to the princess and stole the dragon's egg, he was cursed never to lie. And we are all like that. I sat frozen still. Mayo was staring at Ameneros with wide eyes. Do you have the last dragon's egg? He asked. He doesn't have it if he cannot show it, Kino said. You will shame all the tree runners because right now, you're lying to us, Mayo pressed. And then Kino added, liar, liar, liar. Stop it, I said. What are you two doing, taunting Ameneros? And then it hit me, they were trying to make him show them the egg. Show me, Kino said. Ameneros took the dragon's egg out of his skin and showed it to them. It was almost twice the size of an ostrich's egg, and it was all covered in scales. This one was quite dark with hints of blue that could confuse it for a rock. It glimmered under the sun and seemed more like a gemstone to me than an egg. How absolutely delightful it was to look at. Mayo's eyes were popping out of their sockets. Kino was staring at it in surprise as well. Will it hatch? Kino asked. Nobody knows, Ameneros said. You must not continue hiding the egg. It must be destroyed, Mayo said. Nonsense, Ameneros said. We are its guardians. We offer it protection. Then Kokoros and Ames gasped when they saw the dragon's egg. They were back from hunting. You showed it to them. Our lives will be in peril even more. We're not going to kill you because you have the dragon's egg. Besides, if it doesn't hatch, how are we to know that it really is a dragon's egg and not just some other monsters? Kino said. It doesn't matter. Whatever type of egg that is, it has to be destroyed, Mayo insisted. If the last dragon's egg remains, the Emperor will continue to hunt for it. And when finally he gets it, then he will only grow stronger in power. It is not to be destroyed. Ameneros shook his head vehemently. It was entrusted to us. Our forefather was cursed to become a tree runner because of this egg. We must not shame ourselves further. Since then, we have been raised to be kind, meek, and trustworthy, but what did we do? We shamed our ancestors when the former Emperor Northsam Amark banished us to Sinista. Now my brothers have allied with the Emperor because of a promise that our kind can roam Akea once again if His Grace's demands are met. My brothers knew that it was wrong because no one can release us from banishment except for the former Emperor. But every night, Sinista torments us. It is unbearable. But then again, that was hardly a justification for what my brothers are doing now, ravaging provinces, killing the innocent, and all because they wish to be free of Sinista's confines. I would save them, and by showing them this egg, they would remember. Can I carry it? Mayo asked, motioning to touch the dragon's egg and then taking it in both hands. He looked awed by it. Do not play with the dragon's egg, Dogen said. I agree with Mayo. The Emperor must not have it. There were stories of grandeur if one had a dragon by his side. A man who had nothing could amount to so much more and eventually be made king because of the power that a dragon would give him. I am sorry, brothers, but Mayo is right. We cannot let the egg survive. That is utter nonsense. Ameneros was furious and grabbed the egg from Mayo, but I had already reached for it before he could. Follow me, I yelled at Mayo, who had run at full speed. Kino was also running after us. When we were hidden, I gave an instruction to the two boys to destroy the egg. We must separate because the tree runners would be able to sense me. So the two of you must carry on with the task. Will you look for us? I don't want to be alone here, Mayo said. Kino is with you. You're not alone. I will lead the tree runners on a wild hunt, and once I have done that, I will come for you both. Kino? I said. Go and ride the clouds. I will go the other way. Kino nodded, and then, out of thin air, he conjured a cloud. He and Mayo stepped on it, and they vanished in thin air as Kino made both of them invisible. Ameneros. They took the last dragon's egg. Our honor is tarnished. No, Let me correct that, there is nothing left of us anymore. I stared at Cetos and Kokoros in astonishment. How stupid was I to reveal my plans? And what more, to children? I didn't understand why I even did that, as though someone had charmed me to do it. What must we do? I said. Our ancestors won't accept us now, should we die. Why didn't you tell us that you had the egg? Cetos asked. It is supposed to be a secret. The egg gets passed on among us, and whoever has it must not tell anyone else. Then why for the love of gods did you tell them? I wanted to save the rest of our brothers, and I wanted to run the idea by them. That is stupid. Forgive me, brothers, I said. I make stupid mistakes sometimes. Cetos bent down on the ground and concentrated. He seemed to be communicating. What are you doing? I said in a panic. Stop it. You must not tell them. Our brothers must know because we have to catch the thieves and get the dragon's egg back. They're flying on a cloud now. How do you expect us to get it back? Cetos was yelling, something a tree runner hardly ever does. He bent down on the ground again, and I could feel the words as they transmitted on the ground. The last dragon's egg was taken. We need to retrieve it. We have lost our honor. Help us hunt the last egg. Forgive us, brothers. And then, after a while, the ground vibrated as tree runners started appearing around us. You've lost it? Martel asked. It is the only thing we live for, and you lost it? The Emperor must know. No, I said in a rush. Don't tell the Emperor, not yet. He will take it if he learns where it is. You failed us when you left Sinista. And we are with the Emperor now. He has set us free. He is not allowed to do that because he was not the one who cursed us. He cannot release us. It doesn't work that way, I yelled, much to my surprise. It's not important anymore. We are free. You are still not, Martel said before leaving. Our other brothers went away with him. Cetos and Kokoros looked at me. And after a quiet moment, they left me too.
Pyper, San Diego. I was riding a tiger, and it was scary and exciting at the same time. Elder Man was doing the same. We were making good time. By now, we have already entered Karis Thia. It was bad enough that I had to drag the elder with me, but I needed his help to get here fast. I could not believe that I had let my friends go without me. What if something terrible happened to them? Who was going to protect them? And all because I was mad at Mayo for something that he did not do. I still could not believe that my father was gone. There will be no one to call me monkey or peeps. No more evening talks. No one to joke around with. I told myself I would not cry anymore, but it seemed impossible at the moment. The wind was blowing so steadily against my face that it began to feel numb. I wish that every part of me could feel that way so that I need not suffer so much from my father's loss. Elder Man stopped his tiger, and I made mine stop too. I was unsure how I did it until I saw Elder Man mouthing some words to the tiger. It was him controlling my ride, after all. We're here, Pyper, he said. We just have to find them, wait a minute. The sky was suddenly filled with a flock of birds, and then one of them separated from the group and flew towards the elder. It was amazing to witness the elder talking to his friends. The bird was perched on his shoulder, and he was looking directly at its eyes. Melodies were coming out of the elder's mouth as though he was whistling. His power was such a gift from the gods in that it highlights the kinship between man and animals. Arena said that 2 boys were flying with them, Elder Man said. That's great. Where to? To Mount Kablu, the highest volcano in Karis Thia. But why would they go there? I said, confused. Arena said that there seems to be an egg. Dear gods, did they find the last dragon's egg? But why would they go to the volcano? There's only one way to find out, he said. Hold tight. And then we were on the move again, riding our tigers.
Miroe Pasap. The Emperor went to Karis Thia ahead of us, but Lady Sol and I were not so far behind to follow. She insisted that I learn from her first about the ways of the Emperor, So we had to spend a few days together. Now that I have at least been made familiar with his methods, we began the journey, and here we were. My sister would have loved this place, I said. She wanted to travel, and well, we've been traveling for a long time, but we have never gotten the chance to come here. If we did, we would have completed navigating Akea. Oh, except for Lakay Islands. We didn't have the means to commission a ship. I didn't know you had a sister. Where is she? Lady Sol asked. I do not know why this kind of question still gets to me. Twin sister, I said, correcting her. She didn't want to be with me anymore. Saying those words made me feel kind of lonely. Lady Sol must have sensed this because she fell silent and did not ask any more questions about my Goemi. I waited a long time to be of service to the Emperor, I said. That's interesting. Although I must say that many citizens aspire to be on the good side of the Emperor. It isn't easy, she said, glancing at me. Once you pledge your life to the Emperor, nothing that used to be yours will remain yours anymore. Not your time, not your space, nothing. He will own you just like the rest of us. Is that resentment that I hear in your tone, my lady? I asked. Sol looked shocked to have let some of her emotions show. She was supposedly the very definition of calmness herself. Perhaps, all these years serving the Emperor had made her detest him a little. She shook her head nonetheless. The Emperor owns me now, but it was I who had made that fealty. I wasn't forced into service or anything. And it wasn't as though I regretted it. I don't. No, there's none of that. All my life, I have sought, I stopped. What? Lady Sol asked. Please continue. Nothing, I said. I changed my tone and instead said another thing. Life is never simple, especially for those who were not born so lucky. But you are a lady, and you would never understand. Do you think my years serving the Emperor of Akea had not made me see the impoverished citizens of this land? Do you think that just because I wear silk and adorn myself with gemstones, I know not of the common man's problems? My stomach complains when there's no food, just like yours. My throat gets parched when there's a long journey, and there's no water to be found. I breathe the same air that all of you who claim to be oppressed and, to quote you, the not-so-lucky ones. You are mistaken, my boy. That is not what I was alluding to, my lady. Forgive me if, by my saying so, I have offended you. You may be breathing the same air as we, but while we breathe it putrid from the scent of filth and hard work, you may be breathing your share on a terrace while drinking some wine on a goblet. Surely the stink of the sewers would not reach your nose? And you speak about not having food for a long time? Does that mean that our definition of long is the same? For you, long could mean a few hours, a day perhaps at most, but do you know what it means for those who are forever hungry? Forgive my insolence, but I speak for those who live on scraps of food and who don't get to think about anything else, for how could they when all day long their stomachs keep on reminding them about that hollow space that hardly ever gets nourished? You may have your challenges, my lady, but to presume that you understand what it means to be poor is such an understatement of the way people like us actually live, I said. My cheeks felt hotter than they should have been. Lady Sol was taken aback by what I said. Did she think I was impudent to be saying all of these? But these were my thoughts, the Emperor could not own them. There was a dilemma in Akea. The kings and lords have become wealthier as the poor become poorer. To us common folk, the choice was either poverty or death. There was nothing else. After a while, she said, I don't know what you have gone through, but believe me, I have seen enough to know what it means to be poor. Seeing children fight over scraps of food is not the same as actually eating mud, my lady, I said. Then I stopped the horse I was riding on and jumped off it. I crouched down and dug my right hand deep into the puddle on the road. Dark brown water dripped from the sides of my clenched fist as I raised it. This, my lady, is what I am talking about, I said, before eating the mud that I was holding in my hand, eyes not leaving Lady Sol. I was challenging her. For her to think that she understood poverty? For a lady to claim she understands impoverished Akeans? I did not think so. Do not presume to know just because you see it. There is no excuse as to why the palace would not be able to give a better solution to the most basic problems of the people, I said, mud dripping from the sides of my mouth. Although surprised, Lady Sol managed to regain her composure. Without second thoughts, she alighted from her horse, walked calmly towards the puddle where I was, and slowly dug her hand into the puddle. When she had enough mud on her hands, she put them in her mouth. The journey might still take some time, and I do not want to get hungry, she said. She then ate the mud that she was holding. She fished for the water bottle on her side and took a long gulp. It is quite sticky. You should also have a drink so that you won't be so thirsty, Lady Sol said. I was stunned. This woman did the unthinkable so she could win an argument with me, yet it seemed as though she was not doing it just for show. Thank you, my lady, I said quietly. I hopped back onto my horse. Lady Sol moved gracefully, and in a few seconds, she was also back in her saddle. Now, this is quite a fascinating conversation, my lad. Tell me more about what the Emperor's rule should know about, and I assure you, something will be done about these hardships. Those that affected you for so long have made you so embittered. Share these hardships with me so that somehow, I may give justice to your afflictions. I felt my cheeks heating up again in shame. Do not get me wrong, my lady. I am here because I volunteered my services to the Emperor. True, but why do I sense that the reason for that is not because of your unwavering loyalty to His Highness, Emperor McQuinn Stormarin? There are reasons, I mumbled. No rule is perfect, Lady Sol said. But we obey the rulers as long as they have the common good as their compass. If that is still their purpose, then we obey. The moment a ruler places himself higher than his purpose is the only time that a rebellion is justified. Lady Sol laughed weakly. So tell me, why do you want to serve the Emperor? She asked. And just like that, I seemed to see Lady Sol in a different light. She was not the pretentious woman I initially thought her to be. She probably does understand what it means to be poor. When she ate the mud, it did not seem like she was just pretending, she made me believe. She was a formidable woman, intelligent and strong. And so elegant. I have never met anyone so undeterred. When we arrived at the Karisian palace, the Emperor was about to leave. Soldiers surrounded him, and he was giving instructions. Your Grace, Lady Sol said with her courtly curtsy. You finally arrived, he said in a mocking tone. Are you tired of defying me already? I am a loyal servant to the Emperor, Your Grace, she answered. Then prove to me that you are loyal to me. Stop hiding in the palace. Your power is not just to heal and calm people, he said. But before Lady Sol could respond to that, the Emperor rode a cloud and flew away. The soldiers followed him out in troops. Aren't we supposed to join him? I asked. Lady Sol was studying the Emperor. No. If there's one thing you should remember, it's that if he doesn't invite you, it is forbidden to go after him. Kino Amark. I'm tired. Wait a minute, I said. I made the cloud that we were riding on glide down until it slowly dissipated as we hit the ground. We're near the mouth of Mount Kablu, Mayo said. We can hike from here. Let's go. Using my power too much has exhausted me, but we needed to keep going. I hoped that there was nothing here to surprise us. I stopped to look back and saw that soldiers were already climbing the volcano. Mayo, I said. He turned to look at where I was looking and gasped when he saw the soldiers that were fast approaching us. I think we should run, he said. Even though I was too tired to do so, I had no option but to do just that. Come on. I shouted as we both started to run toward the top of the volcano. Remind me again why we're going up here? Because no one would suspect us to go here. Mayo replied. Well, I guess I'm wrong. We kept on running, but I also started wondering, once we got to the crater, what next? How were we going to escape after destroying the egg? Were we supposed to go down the other side? Thoughts of all sorts twirled inside my head as we ran. Just then, the Emperor appeared. He was riding the cloud. When he saw us, he hurled air towards us. "Run, Mayo!" I shouted. Then as the air hit our bodies, we slammed against the ground. Mayo stood up and started running in the opposite direction. I shuffled my power and copied the Emperor's power, hurling a block of air against him. Then I conjured a cloud formation, hopped on it, and swept past Mayo. "Grab my hand," I said. By now, we were both riding the cloud. Lightning covered the sky, and thunder started to roll. "Just keep going up," Mayo said. "Kino!" somebody shouted. I turned around and saw Pyper riding a tiger. Elder Man was with her too, and so was Dogen. "Keep going. The Emperor is right behind us," I shouted back. I could not say anything more after that because there he was, the Emperor, hurling lightning at us. "Just fly us over the crater, Kino," Mayo said in a panic. And since I could not think straight anymore, I did just what he asked of me. I pushed at the cloud, making it go faster. But the Emperor beat us and threw a lightning bolt at us. I was able to escape it, but we rolled onto the ground, which by now had started shaking violently. The volcano was growing hotter by the minute. The Emperor flew closer to us with cloaks of dark clouds surrounding him. There were flashes of lightning circling him, obviously, a display of his power waiting to be unleashed. He raised his arms again to call on lightning bolts, but before he could do it, I had already thrown my lightning bolts towards him. The Emperor was quick to dodge them. The soldiers riding the cloud together with the Emperor jumped off and were now coming after Pyper, Dogen, and Elder Man. They would have captured my friends easily, if they were not riding tigers. The Emperor struck again, and this time, he was shooting lightning so quickly that it was almost impossible for me to avoid. But I was able to shuffle with my power and run in a flash. Pyper must have turned invisible because I could no longer see her and the tiger she was riding. Mayo was running away from the soldiers, but everywhere he went, the ground erupted as a result of the fighting that was happening. But he kept on pushing towards the volcano's crater. Dogen was the only one who seemed to be doing something that could save us. He kept hurling vines towards the soldiers, casting them like webs towards them. One by one, the soldiers fell, but the vines were not enough. There were just too many of the Emperor's men. To my horror, the tree runners started appearing. I made a cloud again, hopped on it, and flew where Mayo already was. I could see him standing near the mouth of the volcano. He raised his hands, and the dragon's egg glistened as the sunlight hit it. "No!" the Emperor yelled. Mayo threw the egg towards the mouth of the volcano. And just like that, it was gone. I flew faster towards Mayo because now, the Emperor was posing to attack him. The volcano rumbled again, and Mayo slid and rolled. "Mayo, grab my hand!" I shouted as I swooped down and hoisted him up. "It's gone. Destroyed. No one can use it anymore," he said triumphantly. The Emperor had stopped chasing me, and instead, was eyeing the volcano. And then, he went inside, riding his cloud. "You're wrong," I said in a panic. "The Emperor just went after it. The dragon's egg won't die in there, but instead, it will hatch." We both yelled in unison. Then, as though we both understood what we needed to do, I made a sharp turn and flew back towards the volcano's crater. This time, I was racing against the Emperor as we plunged to the mouth of the volcano. Mayo was gripping my waist tightly. "Hold on!" I shouted as steam blew against our faces. It was so hot inside. We could barely breathe with all the fumes around. So I shuffled my power again and used the tree runner's power. I was now covered with bark. It didn't provide enough protection, but at least it prevented me from getting scorched. But Mayo, he hardly had any protection. I had to move faster. But everywhere I looked, there was no egg. It was gone. Perhaps I was wrong. The lava could have destroyed the egg. And then I heard a soft purring sound from my back. I turned around quickly and saw what seemed like a small lizard. It was as big as my arm, and it was blowing off some fumes. "The egg has hatched," I said, amazed. We flew towards it, and I quickly grabbed the dragon and then flew up as quickly as I could. The volcano wall started to shake, and the lava was fast rising. Where are they? I asked Mayo. Look for Pyper. The elder? Dogen. We can't leave them here. We won't be able to find them. They're probably invisible by now, Mayo said, coughing. His eyes were all bloodshot. All right, just make sure you hold on tightly to me, I said, and then Mayo screamed as I doubled our speed. Some soldiers were still going up, and we ran across them, shouting, "Get out of the way. The volcano is about to explode." Soon the volcano spewed off lava like it was fireworks. I could hear the soldiers' loud pleas for help, but there was nothing I could do for them. The good news was that the Emperor was no longer chasing me. Perhaps I had lost him. Or so I thought. Just a few yards away, I saw him behind me. I pushed my cloud to go faster, but no matter what I did, the Emperor could maneuver his cloud better than I did. It was as though he was just gliding in the air. He hurled a wave of air towards us, hitting us straight at our backs. I lost focus as pain enveloped my entire body. We spiraled down for a few seconds before our bodies landed on the ground in loud thuds. I held the dragon tightly and made both of us invisible, but Mayo was thrown too far away from me. I tried searching for him, but he was nowhere to be found. The land rumbled, and this time, it was not just because of the earthquake. Soldiers were coming straight for us. Right then, I saw Mayo. He got up, still wobbly on his feet. The Emperor saw him too. He raised his hand to strike a lightning bolt at where Mayo was, but before anything could be thrown at him, Pyper was already there beside Mayo, extending her invisibility to him. "Dogen!" shouted Mayo. "There's nothing I can do for him," Pyper said. "Run." I finally got the strength to conjure a cloud again and then slowed down so that my two friends could hop on. I was scared because the Emperor could just be behind us, so I concentrated really hard on escaping from Karis Thia. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw the Emperor walking towards Dogen, unmindful of all the soldiers around him, and uncaring of whether Mayo and I were still around. To the Emperor, Dogen was not a threat because he had no extraordinary power. Dogen made vines rise from the land to shield himself from the attacking soldiers. But there were just too many of them. Pyper was shivering in fear as she clutched Mayo's hand tightly. The Emperor was so close now. "Kino, we need to save Dogen," Pyper said. I wanted to say no. Then she jumped from the cloud and ran to where Dogen was still standing. Mayo was running beside her, clutching tightly at her hand. The Emperor raised his hand and struck, but Pyper had already extended her hand and touched Dogen. For a millisecond, Dogen stood still as though expecting some kind of transformation to happen to him, but he remained visible. The Emperor managed to laugh when he realized the futile attempt of my friends to make Dogen invisible. But to the Emperor's surprise, Dogen did vanish. He howled when he realized that my friends and I had escaped him yet again. This will not be our last encounter. There will be many other instances, that I was certain, because the Emperor will never stop hunting me until the day I die. Where did they go? Hunt them down? Kill everything that's moving. I won't lose them this time. Those were the Emperor's last words that rang in my ears. By now, we were already high up in the air, invisible, and we watched as Karis Thia continued spewing off the lava. I was terrified, but I was also happy because it just crossed my mind that Pyper saved Mayo. Maybe she has yet to realize it, but something tells me that she had forgiven Mayo already.
Marcella Benilda. It was already too late when I reached the Carisian palace. Wind was no longer there. I could feel Akea tremor, and it was almost non-stop now. I had to clutch at Laras's hand to keep myself steady. And because of this turn of events, I was worried that my time in Akea would be coming to an end soon. This place reminded me of Sinista. Karis Thia was not tainted, yet I could still feel the wreckage and hopelessness of this place that was akin to Sinista. A memory entered my mind, of a group of travelers in Sinista. The boy Wind wanted was there. I wondered if I had pounced on to kill him, would the terrible things still be happening now? Perhaps I wouldn't even have to die so violently from the volcano's lava. I shook my head. No, there wasn't anything I could do about that. If I had dreamt it, it would happen at one point. Then there was more violent shaking of the land. We must run now, Lara said. I have to see my son. I know this. I know I won't make it out alive, so I must earn his forgiveness. If you remain alive, there will be a time for that, so let's hurry. No. I said. As I turned around, I witnessed the spectacular explosion of lava from the mouth of Karis, Thia's tallest volcano. It was almost nighttime, and the orange glow against the darkening sky was enthralling, if not mystical. One by one, volcanoes nearest to it also started erupting within minutes of interval. The volcanoes were putting on a spectacular show worthy of praise, if only it were not so deadly. My heart started to pound. And then everything happened just as it did in my dream. I saw the face I had been dreading, that of Solar Douglas. She was making her way towards me. I looked up at Laras. It is her, I said. Laras' lips were drawn in a snarl. My queen, he said. We must go. Only death awaits us here. Do you remember what destiny is? I asked calmly. It is doing what you are supposed to be doing when the time comes. And this right here is my destiny. This is the time. Then I reached out to touch Laras's face and kissed him lightly on the lips. Remember your destiny. When I am gone, go and serve my son. Laras froze as though he realized that this could be the time that I told him about. No. He shouted as he reached out to grab my arm. The volcanoes continued rumbling, and lava was continuously flowing everywhere. I was now facing to face with Solarin. Save yourself, Sol said. As long as the Emperor doesn't see you, he won't know that you have disobeyed his order to not show your face to him again. You are too kind, I said. You will make a wonderful wife to my son someday. Take care of him, I said. Go. Sol urged. He's not here, save yourself from the volcanoes. She had a kind heart, that I could be sure of. And when she spoke to me, my heart calmed, and then I remembered that it was her power. It came to me then that perhaps this was the reason it was destined to happen. I understand now. Why I am here, I said softly. I am here so that I can save my son somehow. It is you. You are the salvation that my son needs. He would never forgive me. He would always remember me as the one who abandoned him. But you, my dear child, your loyalty, your love, you will be able to save him. I don't understand what you're saying, Sol replied. Go now, Marcella. Tears streaked my cheeks. I could hear the loud pounding of my heartbeat. My time had come. Give him my love, I said. The volcano shook again. Sol was unaware of the boulder that was hurling down towards her, but I was. So I pushed Sol to safety as the burning boulder crushed me. This was how it was supposed to be in my dream. That even as I faced death, I was thinking of my son. Before I lost consciousness, I heard Lara scream my name.
Elder Tala. No. I shouted as I used Distantecus to remove the boulder from Marcella. But I was too late. Her body was maimed and had been completely burnt. There was nothing I could do anymore to save her. I remembered her words. My love, if you remain true to me, obey my request. Pledge your loyalty to my son. He is who he is what he has become, because of me. Do not hate him for his hardness and for the dreams that he has. He is just like you and me. We dream. We yearn. And in some ways, we might do some bad things, as he has. But he is my son. He is not so vile a man as many think. Serve him, and I will wait for you in the next life should you do. Yours if you remain true. Marcella Benilda, House Benilda. Former Queen of Amer. I have always served her. I searched for the Nivens because she asked me to infiltrate them, to get information that I could share with her because she wanted to be in the Emperor's good graces. In the last months, I have allied with the Nivens, but only because I wanted to win their trust, and once they did, that was the time that I would kill the chief hunter. And all of these things I was prepared to do because of Marcella. Now that she is gone, there is no sense in doing all of this anymore. I have no reason to pretend any longer. Let it be known that I am a supporter of the Emperor, McQuinn Storm Aaron, Marcella Benilda's son. I was filled with anguish as I created a ledge from the earth and rode it, using my power to move and push it forward, hoping that I would get to the battlefield fast enough. I came across the Emperor's soldiers, and they were all running away from the heavy lava flow. The Emperor had gone, I could not see him anywhere, even as I gazed up above the sky. There was no trace of the cloud that he usually rode. Tala! I heard a familiar voice shout. We have to escape now. The lava is going to kill everyone. It was Mayandilo. How appropriate that I should meet him now. This man is a traitor. Someone who turned his back on the Emperor and willfully sided with the Nivens. He was escaping ever so quickly because he was riding a tiger. I chased after him, pushing the ledge that I was riding. And when I was close to him, he said, "You're going faster than I am, let me ride with you." I smiled at him. "Of course," I said. And I watched as he jumped from the tiger and stepped on the ledge. "You have made me betray the Emperor, even for a while," I said. Mayan turned to look at me, his eyes rounding. "Yes, that is correct. I have always been the Emperor's supporter, but I needed to gain the Niven's trust and pounce when I could hit the hardest. The time has come, Mayandilo. Don't do this, Tala," Mayan said, the uneasiness now evident in his voice. Perhaps he realized how he had entrusted his life to me now and how easy it would be for me to leave him out here to die. "All these moon turns, do you think you were doing the right thing, siding with these Nivens? But what do you really know, Mayan? No matter who rules Akea, it doesn't matter. There will always be an injustice. There will always be the rich and the poor. There will still be suffering. The only ones who survive are those who know how to play the game. And because of your false ideals, you are going to die here, my old friend," I said. "You will die here, alone." Elder Mayandilo. Iter adlan arauti punta. Iter año, I shouted. "What are you saying?" Tala said. And then his eyes widened as he realized what I was doing. I didn't want to kill him, but I could not die here. This was not the last battle that I was supposed to fight. Not yet. And then the tiger came back and pounced on Elder Tala. It was one quick blow, and he fell off his moving piece of earth but was unnerved by the attack. The tiger ran away afterward. Elder Tala stood up and raised his hands to conjure another ledge he could ride on, but it was too late. The lava had come to flow so soon, and he screamed in anguish as he found himself covered in lava. I was thrown away as well. Because it was Elder Tala who made the ledge move, it stopped so abruptly upon his demise, sending me rolling onto the rumbling ground. I stood up in a rush and ran, but the lava was flowing so swiftly that I knew it could consume me in an instant. Just when I thought that the raging molten lava would burn me, I felt gusts of cool air blowing all around me. I opened my eyes only to find that a large flock of birds had come to rescue me. Soon I was flying with them. They were circling me, perhaps thousands of them, helping to lift me off the ground. No one was big enough among them to carry me, so they moved around me, and the air their wings flapped hoisted me high above the burning lava. "Maraming salamat," I whispered. And the birds knew that I was thanking them in the language that only they understood. Now, I had to get to Kanela, where the last battle would be fought.